Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Python tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will talk about Python inheritance. So first of all, what is inheritance in Python? So classes in Python can be extended, creating new classes which retains the characteristics of a base class. And this process is known as inheritance. Now, in simple words, the idea behind inheritance is that a new class can borrow the behaviors and methods from the another class. Now, the inheritance involves two types of classes. One is a superclass and other is a subclass. Now, the subclass inherit members of the superclass on top of which it can add its own members, for example, any other member methods or variables. So here, subclass is the one who is doing the borrowing of the members, and the superclass is one from which subclasses borrows these kind of member methods and variables. Now, if this inheritance sounds to be a little bit confusing to you, let me give you an example. So I said in inheritance, there are two types of classes. One is a superclass and other is a subclass. Now in this example, I have taken polygon as a superclass and two classes, rectangle and triangle, as the subclasses. Now if you see carefully, what is the relationship between rectangle and polygon and triangle and polygon? So rectangle is a polygon, right? And the triangle is also a polygon. That means the rectangle can inherit some properties from the polygon class. Also, triangle can inherit some properties from the polygon class. And the relationship between the superclass and the subclass is defined by a relationship called is-are relationship. So rectangle is a polygon and triangle is a polygon also. That means that rectangle and triangle can inherit from the polygon class. So in inheritance, the subclasses have a is-are relationship with the superclasses. So let me give you one more example. So as a superclass, you can take an animal class, and then as subclasses, you can create a dog class, cat class, rat class, because all of them are animals. So dog is an animal, cat is an animal, rat is an animal. So always remember, when you use inheritance, there is a is-are relationship between superclass and the subclass. Now let's take a real life example and let me try to explain you this concept with some code. So I'm going to create a new project in my PyCharm IDE, and this I'm going to name it as inheritance, and I will choose this option, open in current window, and also this option which says add to the current opened project, which is going to create the project in the same window. So now this project is created. So I'm going to go inside this project and I'm going to create a new Python file here, and I'm going to name this file as polygon, because we are going to create a polygon class. And inside this polygon.py file, let's first create a class called polygon. And inside this polygon class, what are the attributes which we want to add here? So rectangle and triangle, what are the common things which they both have? They both have the width and the height. So we are going to first of all create a variable called width, and we will initialize it by a value none. The none keyword is used whenever you want to assign nothing to your variables, right? In the same way, I'm going to use height and I'm going to assign none to that also. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a method here. So let me define a method using def. and I'm going to use this method to set the values of width and heights. And this method is going to take two arguments. One is the width and the other is the height, right? Now, if you remember in the last video, I have shown you how to make your variable private. So you use double underscore in front of your variables to make them private. So I'm going to add this double underscore in front of width and height. That means these two variables are private. Now, using this set values method, I'm going to just set the values of the height and width. So self dot underscore underscore width is equal to width, and self dot underscore underscore height is equal to height. So this is the polygon class which we have created, and it's a super class in our case, right? And now let's define two subclasses. One is a rectangle and other is a triangle. So let's define other class called rectangle, and inside this rectangle I'm going to define one method. Let's say this method is a area method, and this area method is going to give us the area of the rectangle. And what is the area of the rectangle? The area of the rectangle is the multiplication of the width and the height. Similarly, I'm going to define a triangle class also. So let me define the triangle class here. And let's say this triangle class also have this method which is area. Now, what is the area of a triangle? The area of the triangle is the multiplication of width and height divided by 2. So we are going to divide the multiplication of width and height by 2. This is the area of the triangle. So now we have defined three different classes, and we are saying that polygon is the superclass and rectangle and triangle is our subclasses. Now, how we can inherit the properties of the superclass, which is polygon, into our subclasses, which is rectangle and triangle. So in order to inherit from one class to another, you use this parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis you write the name of your superclass, and that means your rectangle is inheriting from the polygon class. Similarly, when we write this parenthesis and the polygon class here, that means triangle is inheriting from the polygon class. Now, when a subclass inherits from a superclass, the superclass member variables and methods are accessible also using the subclass also. So let me give you an example. So I'm going to create the instance of rectangle first of all. So let me just write rectangle. So this is the rectangle instance, and let's create a triangle instance also. And now once we have triangle and rectangle instance, let's use this rectangle instance, and when you write dot here, you can see IntelliSense says that area is available for this object and set value is available for this object. So when you use set value, you can see we haven't defined the set value method inside the rectangle, but because we are inheriting from the polygon class into a rectangle class, all the members of the polygon class are available using the rectangle object also. And what this method takes, it takes the width and height. So we are going to provide the width and let's say height 50 and 40, and once again we are going to use the triangle object and we use the set values, and this time also let's say I'm going to provide the same values here. And what does this set value method is doing? It's just setting the values of width and height inside the polygon class. Now, in order to calculate the area, we can call the area method from the rectangle and the triangle class. So let's just do that, and I'm going to do this inside a print method, and I'm going to just call the rectangle object dot area, which doesn't take any argument, and same I'm going to do for the triangle object also. So triangle dot area. So what do you think will happen now? So let's run the code and let's see what will happen. So I'm going to right click on this file and I'm going to just choose run a polygon, and it's going to run the program, and you will see it gives us an error. And what is the error? The rectangle object has no attribute rectangle underscore underscore width. That means because this width and height are private member variables of the polygon class, they are not accessible from the subclass, which is the rectangle class and the triangle class. So you cannot inherit the private members from the superclass into the subclass. So what is the solution here? So what we can do here is we can create the getter methods for the width and the height. So I'm going to do exactly that. So let's define a method called def get underscore width, and it's going to take no argument, and it's going to return the value of the width. So using self, we can access the value of underscore underscore width. In the same way, we can define a method called get underscore height here, and it's also not going to take any argument, but we are going to return the value of the height here. So self dot underscore underscore height. So now we have created the getter methods for the width and height, and these getter methods are the public members. Why they are public? Because we haven't used the double underscore in front of these two methods, and these two methods now we can use in place of these private member variables which we were trying to inherit in the subclass using the superclass. So instead of underscore underscore width, we can write self dot get width, and also here instead of underscore underscore height, we can use get height. Similarly, we will do the same for the triangle class. So get width and the get height dot get height. Now let's run the program again and let's see what happens. And now when I run the code, it gives me the area of rectangle using this print line statement, and then it's going to give me the area of triangle, which is exactly the half, using this line of statement. So let me once again minimize this and let's recap what we have learned. So we have created a superclass and two subclasses. Superclass is polygon and subclasses are rectangle and triangle. And in order to inherit from the superclass, you just use parentheses and the name of your superclass. And that means in our example, rectangle is inheriting from the polygon class. Next, what we have learned is all the public member variables or the methods are accessible from the subclass from the superclass. So set value method and get value method is accessible because they are public methods, but underscore underscore width and underscore underscore height are not accessible because they are the private member variables. So you cannot inherit the private member variables into your subclasses. Now we have seen this example in which we have created two instances of the classes. One is rectangle object from the rectangle class and the other is triangle object from the triangle class. And first of all, we have used the set method, which is coming from the polygon class. It's not the part of the rectangle or the triangle class, to set the values of width and height. And then we have just called the area method from these two classes in order to give us the area. So this set method is used to set the value. So it has set the value of width and height. And using this get method, get width and get height, this value is returned and this value is returned into the subclasses, and then the multiplication of these two values gives us the area here, and the multiplication of these values divided by 2 gives the area of the triangle here. So this is how you can use inheritance in Python. I hope you have learned something new this time, and I will see you in the next video.